and welcome to our Genuine Chats. I'd like to introduce my good friend Rachel Davison, who is an international best-selling author, and I'm Gina Gardner. I too am an international best-selling author and an empowerment, transformational leadership coach and trainer.
And general star.
Thank you very much indeed. Today we're going to talk about the difference between how life is if one's wholehearted and one's half-hearted. Yesterday, my cat stayed out.
Yes.
I don't have a cat flat for a whole range of reasons, which I won't bore you with. And he didn't arrive home till 2:30, and I don't like to leave him out. He can't climb. That's another long story.
2 in the morning, isn't it?
It is. Oh. So when I got up this morning, I felt very half-hearted, if that's possible, about getting up.
Oh, yeah.
And one of the things that struck me was how different life is when you bounce out of bed in the morning and that you are passionate about what you're doing and you approach life in a wholehearted way.
Yeah. As
opposed to me this morning when, you know, I opened the eye half a crack when the alarm went off, thinking, oh, I don't want to do this, I don't want to get up, I don't want to start the day. And what resonated with me is how when we are full of passion and heart and enthusiasm, how life is so different than when we're not. And yet I think many people live a half life because they don't engage fully in what they're doing. And so it seemed a sensible theme to explore this morning in terms of, do you live full out? Do you live a life full of heart and passion? Or are you selling yourself short by only engaging in a lackluster way? So there have been lots of people who've written about that. Roald Dahl, for example, was an example that you shared with me.
Yes, where he said lukewarm is just no good.
Yes.
He was talking about being passionate, and if you decide that you are interested in something, then go full steam ahead at it and be wholehearted. He doesn't use the word wholehearted in that quote, but that's the sense of what he's talking about, which is there's very little point in doing something in life and not putting the whole of your heart into it. I mean, obviously, it does happen. There are things in life that we all have to do, which, we don't really want to put our whole heart into it. But you have to do them because that's life, and you have to do certain things and admin things and boring things and stuff. But generally speaking, the stuff that hopefully you're spending most of your time doing is where you are able to place your whole heart.
I'm going to challenge the idea that, the stuff that you don't like doing, that it's okay to do that with half a heart. Because I think in the doing of that, you're selling yourself short. Now,
you had a good story from Tony, didn't you?
I did. Ultimately, there are certain jobs that I don't like. But I think Tony's example is one that can give us all an example that would significantly enrich our lives in general. And he talks of a time when he went to an ashram. And the deal was that if he went to the ashram, he lived rent-free for 3 weeks, and he got to engage in all of the spiritual learning that was going on there. Now, his view of what the spiritual learning was when he went was very different to when he came home. Part of the deal was that you had to work for 6 hours on whatever job they gave you. And people came to the ashram for the day in their thousands, and they were fed. And so they were cooking and cleaning and washing up. And Tony was given the job of washing up. Now,
the great Tony Robinson washing up.
And by this time, he was already pretty well known. Okay. So I suspect, although I don't know, but I suspect that he hadn't washed anything up for a very long time.
I think it's a safe assumption.
I think so. So he arrived at the washing up hut, and it was a hut. And there was a distinct difficulty in that he's 6'7". I've met him. He is ginormous. And the hut was very low. Now, we're talking about incredibly hot and humid anyway, let alone without the hot water for washing up. And he had 6 hours in this hut, washing up in very, very humid conditions, unable to stand up. It was so low, he had to crouch to actually fit in. And by the end of the day, he was in a foul mood, according to him. He had not enjoyed it. He'd been grumpy all day. He had been very half-hearted in his engagement with the activity. So off he went to bed that night, a bed that incidentally was 2 foot too small for his very long frame, 6'7". And during the night, he obviously had a conversation with himself about how he was going to approach the next 3 weeks minus 1 day.
Because he's stuck with this job, isn't he?
He is.
He can't just decide to go off home.
Throwing his weight and saying, you know, I'm Tony Robbins. That wasn't in it.
Yeah, he can't go and say, I don't like it, I want another one.
But he could spend the whole of the 3 weeks moaning, hating it, being very half-hearted. And if I was more of a lady, not saying half-assed about it. But what he did is he talked to himself and he recognised that actually not only was he harming his own experience, but actually the atmosphere that energy creates is fairly toxic for everybody else. So when he got up the next morning, he got up in a very different way. He got up in terms of being wholehearted about what he was doing. And he went in to wash up and he decided he was going to make it the best day ever. That he was going to sing and joke and enrich the experience, not only for himself, but everybody else. Of course, at the end of the day, instead of feeling exhausted and resentful and miserable, he felt energized and full of joy that he had been able to share that day in that particular way.
A job well done to its best abilities.
He talks about, by the end of the week, he could look back on that experience and see that experience was one of the great experiences of his life. And I would say, you know, what an incredible learning experience, not only for him, but for all of the people who have taken on board that story and recognise that there is the opportunity in every day for every person to live in a half-hearted way where you do it and go through the motions, or you do it resentfully, or you do it with a whole heart, you do it with love and do it with energy and making it the best experience that it's possible for that to be.
It's a great story, isn't it? Because there are many, many occasions where what you really, really want to do in life comes with boring bits, difficult bits, tough bits. And if you were half-hearted about it, if you were sort of like, well, I don't really like that bit, then what you're doing is removing the best bit, the bit that you're working towards. I often used to think about this with horses when I was younger. The amount of hard work that you put in around horses for those 1 or 2 moments of absolute glory of perfection whilst you're riding. You could say that I don't know why anybody would do it.
Yes.
Because it's a lot of hard physical and heartache work to do that. But if you're half-hearted about it, you never achieve those pinnacles. Because actually, the ability to achieve the pinnacle is often based on your application of effort and presence to every aspect of the job.
I
not
just
the best bits.
To challenge though, I believe it is possible that in the application of doing what people would think, you know, I'm shoveling horse manure, I'm clearing out a stable, I'm doing, you know, manual jobs, very repetitive, because make no mistake, tomorrow there'll be another pile to clear up. that actually one can find joy in the smallest, most menial tasks.
Absolutely.
If you choose, if you look for it,
yes.
if you are wholehearted about it.
That's why I think the army and organisations that require great amount of discipline and application. I mean, the army is an extreme because ultimately it's about not getting killed for as long as possible. I guess is the ultimate aim of a soldier. So they have these rituals, don't they? They have these routines that are extremely detailed and very hard work, and almost, you could argue, does it matter that the button isn't as shiny as, But of course, I think these things, these disciplines are created in order to train somebody to put their whole heart into every aspect.
If you don't bother to shine your buttons and you're not making every effort to take pride in what you do, to be clear about your intention, then that sloppiness has the capacity to make the difference between life or death on the battlefield.
Yeah.
But, we live in a world where every moment we have choices, don't we? We are the common denominator for every moment of our lives, and we are responsible. We talked so much about taking absolute radical responsibility for every part of our lives. So to me, this is just taking things, and recognizing that in every moment we can choose how much pleasure we get out of doing something. We can choose whether we are going to pay lip service to something. And when we do pay lip service, when we are half-hearted, the feedback, the reward internally that we get for that is very, very different to when you are, it may be something that's boring, it may be something which is menial, it may be something that wouldn't be my first choice, but my God, I'm going to make the most of every moment of every day. And I think if you said to people, you've got 4 days to live, you would savour each moment in a very different way. Because we are so profligate, aren't we, with time? We spend time being in a hypnotic state, watching stuff on the TV, on arguing and complaining, and doing things which add no benefit or joy to our lives. And in a sense, I think people waking up to the fact that the quality of your life is down to you.
So when somebody is being half-hearted about it, what do you think they imagine they will achieve by withholding half their heart?
I don't think that my view is that they don't think about it at all. They're going through the motions almost like an automaton.
Right.
It's habitual, it's unconscious, there is no imagining. It's going through a set of activities which do not touch upon their inner soul, if you like. And I think that's the challenge, isn't it? That when you do things mindfully, you have the absolute choice as whether you do that and you make an opportunity for that to be something really positive or not. If you're just going through the motions, then there is no choice. You are being driven by a habitual way of being, which doesn't touch upon your consciousness at all. And awareness is the first step. Unless you are aware, you have no choice, do you?
And it's interesting how half-hearted, right? When I think of people who are being half-hearted around me, how it feels, disrespectful of them.
Yes.
In any way, that if they, we've talked about the 4 rules of life, haven't we? In terms of, turn up, be present. And that to me is be wholehearted.
Absolutely.
You have a choice to turn up. You don't have to turn up.
But lots of people think that the turning up is it.
Yeah, and that's being half-hearted. You just turn up.
Yes.
And you're some sort of physical presence, but you're not really there.
So let's use an example. I know from the work that I do with people how many folk feel unseen and unheard.
Yeah.
Now, that doesn't mean to say they don't talk. They do. It doesn't mean to say that they're not necessarily within a partnership, within a family, within a community, but they don't feel truly heard. And one of the values, I think, of working with someone like me is that the space is held for you, that there is somebody who is truly listening to you in a wholehearted way, who cares, who actually has taken the time and the trouble to be wholehearted in their acknowledgement. And I think so many relationships are damaged because people are half-hearted in the way in which they interact with one another. And I think technology's got a lot to do with it. You know, how many people have you been with where they're talking or you're having a conversation, but the phone is there, and the minute the phone beeps, they lose rapport with you because they go to the phone to see who it is. And the inference is that person more interesting than you? It's a half-hearted way of communicating. And so if we were to give our full attention to whatever we are doing, not only to be present, but also to be actively present, I think the quality of life for everybody would improve hugely. You know, one of the things that I talk about quite often when I'm speaking to people is the difference between being a spectator and being a player on the field.
Yeah.
And I talk about life is not a spectator sport. Now, if you are watching a football match or a cricket match, watching it can give you great pleasure, but it's not the same experience as being on the field. Now, in many ways, that's probably a bad analogy because you can engage in and be fully present in watching the match.
Yeah.
But if you put it into your everyday life situation, how many people are fearful of getting engaged, of committing, for example, to a relationship?
Well, I think that's what most people are trying to achieve when they are half-hearted about life, is that they're trying to protect themselves.
Absolutely.
They're sort of saying to themselves, I won't lose my whole heart, at least I'll have half a heart left if this goes wrong.
But I think it's built on a wrong premise, that instead of having anything, when you are half-hearted about it, when you're not engaging, then it's an illusion.
Well, it's sort of a self-fulfilling prophecy, really, isn't it?
It is.
Because
if you put half a heart in it, you're never going to have wholehearted stuff, are you? You're never going to be truly loving or truly loved if you don't commit to being wholehearted.
Yeah, and that's the risk. That is the risk. You might lose your whole heart.
You see, I think it stems...
that's worth it.
I think it stems from people not wholly loving and appreciating themselves. And when you don't love and appreciate yourself, if you're acting as your own best friend, then you're only prepared to give a little bit of yourself. But you don't engage in life in a wholehearted way, because it's all about building that wall.
Yeah.
About, I'm fearful of stepping out of my comfort zone. I'm fearful of being vulnerable. I'm fearful of letting other people in. Brené Brown talks about, the vulnerability. If you want to live a life that's full, you have to live that life in a wholehearted way.
And she was talking about compassion fatigue as well fairly recently, and she made the point that people who are capable of showing greatest compassion in their lives are the ones who are living wholeheartedly. Within her research, in terms of her definition of wholehearted. So, they were people who were turning up and being present in their lives. They were setting healthy boundaries for themselves and for others. They were firm and determined about and had purpose, that sense of momentum. And even though they were putting in a lot of hard work and were not living blessed lives by any stretch, they're just normal people, because they had a wholeheartedness, because they had a sense of that wholeness and being present, they had generosity, they had compassion. Whereas people who turn up with only half a heart have got scarcity at the absolute sort of,
fear, lack, scarcity of what's running their lives. I mean, I'm also reminded of, we've both recently read a book called by Johann Hari, called Lost Connections, which is all about depression. And he talks about people who are working in an arena where they don't like it, that they feel stuck because they're fearful of stepping out and living their true purpose because they will lose perhaps the material things in them. But how that has such a profound effect on people's emotional well-being.
Yes.
That it's one of the 7 factors he talks about.
That poor paint mixer chap that he
who'd like to go and be a fisherman.
He wants to be a fisherman.
But he is fearful of losing
a Mercedes.
Yeah. And so works, I can't remember if it was 10 or 12 hours a day, mixing paint that he's doing in a soulless way. Now, he goes on to say that, okay, there are boring jobs that need to be done.
Yes.
There are dirty and unpleasant jobs that need to be done.
Yes.
And it's not about the job. And I think lots of people latch on to it being, I want to fly aeroplanes. I don't want to be, sweeping the runway. But what he goes on to say is actually whatever job it is, if you do it and you commit to actually making that job something that you do well and that you can feel a pride in the fact that you have done it, that changes everything.
Yes.
It's the game changer is that you are wholehearted about whatever you do, and in creating for yourself that way of being, then you open your possibilities to live a joyous, fulfilled life.
Once in my life I was given the opportunity to be an onion sorter.
Okay.
It was on the farm where I used to keep my horses, and the suggestion was that I earned a little bit of extra money by, after I finished mucking out the horses, turning up on this massive automated, basically a big tractor running a line in a big barn. It was hot, it was dusty, it smelled of onions. And the job was, as you watch these onions bobble by on this line, elevator, no, that's the wrong word, conveyor belt.
Yes.
Thank you. You had to spot the bad ones and reach over and pick them out. And you had to stand there for 3 hours stints doing it. Gina, I confess I was half-hearted about it.
I can understand that. And yet I watched a programme only this week. It was looking at the making of bakewell tarts from particular bakers. Everything was automated except for putting the cherry on the top. And they couldn't actually create, and I think it's a pretty good metaphor. And there were ladies there who were putting the cherry on the top, the right way round in the centre. And they were smiling, and you thought, was this just for the cameras? And the person who was doing the interviewing said, do you like your job? And they, without exception, said, we love our job. And they took great pride in the fact that they were fast and efficient and accurate in where they put them. And the camaraderie between these ladies was great, that they were wholehearted in what they were doing. And he asked one of the women, how long have you been doing this? And she said, 12 years. And I thought to myself, my initial thought was I'd be brain dead.
Yeah.
How boring.
Yeah.
When I thought about it in the context of today, what I realised is that those women had made the active choice to do something and to do it with whole heart.
Yeah.
And as a result, they found it rewarding. They found the relationship between the ladies rewarding, and they found that the fact that they took a pride in what they did and that they did it well.
Yeah.
they found rewarding too.
Yeah.
So for all of those of you that are listening, I would urge you, whatever you're doing, even if it's something that you hate doing, like taking the bin out or doing the washing up, be wholehearted in it. Choose actively to immerse yourself in your life. You know, you've only got this one so far as we can be absolutely sure. So make the most of every day. Take the opportunity to be wholehearted. You'll find lots and lots of resources on the website, genuinely-you.com. Just launching the leadership program, the Enlightened Leadership program, and I'm hoping that will be on the website very, very soon. So genuinely-you.com. You'll find both our books there. Rachel has just published her latest book, which is The Truth of Her. I've read it. It's brilliant. Go and find it on Amazon. You'll find all my books, including Thriving Not Surviving, The 5 Secret Pathways of Happiness, Success and Fulfillment. They're on the website, but they're also on Amazon. You find all the other books there. You can get a free digital download of the book on the website. So go and have a look. Take care. Have a great week, and we'll speak to you soon. Bye-bye now.